Now we have the morning Dhamma Talk. After that, there will be another Dhamma Talk at 1:15 by Bhante Shanta in Sinhalese. This Dhamma Talk will be in English, and then we will have a little meditation session, and then we take a break to make the Buddha Puja at 11:15, and then we also have a Dhamma discussion in the afternoon at 2:30. We get together again, and now we begin the Dhamma talk. Please sit down comfortably and get ready to pay attention to the Dhamma. Samanta Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhammang Nirajasa Sunantu Saggamukhadang Dhammasavana Kalu Ayang Bhadanta Dhammasavana Kalu Ayang Bhadanta Dhammasavana Kalu Ayang Bhadanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Saddha Dhanang Sila Dhanang Hiriyottapiyang Dhanang Sutta Dhanancha Chagocha Panyave Sattamang Dhanang Ti. Dear Dhamma seekers, today we have selected a popular topic for the Dhamma talk on this Medin full moon day. Just after Buddha became enlightened, he was spending time in Uruela area, and then he had a large number of disciples after that. But he was too busy to visit his hometown, Kimbulwatpura, where his father and his family is still living. That was a popular city. A lot of Shakyans from the Buddha's clan were living there. And King Suddhodana heard that his son became enlightened, and he was seeking to see him and pay his respect to the son as a teacher. So he sent some messengers from the king's palace to visit the Buddha, and invited the Buddha to come back to visit Kimbulwatpura, his city, to see his father, and his wife was there, and his child was there. Large number of relatives were there. And so this is just several months months after. But all those different messengers who went to see the Buddha with the message from the king, out of respect or because the Buddha was so busy teaching Dhamma to many different people, they were reluctant to give the message to the Buddha to visit his father. But finally, King Suddhodana decided to send one of the Buddha's very close friend during his young age. Now he's a minister in the palace. His name was Sakludai, and he asked Sakludai to go to see the Buddha and invite him to come to the city of Kimbulwatpura. And Sakludai, who was a very close friend of the Buddha during his young time, was looking for a proper time to invite the Buddha. And he saw that March, after all the rain is over, all the trees are blooming flowers, and way was beautiful and nice, and water in the rivers are clean. And because of this reason, the Sakludai, who also became a monk during this time, invited the Buddha saying, "Venerable Sir, this is the time for you to visit your father. Weather is very nice and road is beautiful, and please think of visiting your city where you were born and visit your family members and teach the Dharma to them also." And so Buddha accepted the Sakludai's invitation, and around this time, which is a very nice time, to visit, make a long walk from Uruela area to Kimbulwatpura. And so he visited, after a long journey, he visited the father, and that's there are long stories related to the meetings of the king and his relatives, in his wife and his child. And so this is a long story that you can read on books about the Buddha's life. And today we are remembering that because Buddha had been so compassionate to all beings, and his relatives are not different, and he had helped many family members of the Buddha, and royal family members basically. And Ananda was Buddha's personal attendant for all his life, and Buddha met Ananda again after he became enlightened in this time. And so even Rahula, the little son who was only 7 years old, met the Buddha, and he became an Arahant later and became a monk. And all these things happened after that visit in this month of the year 2600 some years ago. So we are talking about these things because it softened our mind enough to pay attention to the teachings of the Buddha. Today, And we know the Dhamma, listening to Dhamma, is an extremely important part of a wise human being, not necessarily a Buddhist. If you are a wise human being, it is very important to pay attention to the Dhamma. Dhamma means not what the Buddha taught. Actually, Buddha taught the Dhamma, but Dhamma is the knowledge about human life and human conditions. If you don't know enough about our lives, which we are using every day, from the day one to until the day we die, we use our life without knowing how it works and how to make it efficient, how to avoid problems that make our lives miserable. And that type of knowledge you can only gain by listening to Dhamma. Dhamma can come from anywhere. Even a wise person, look at one's own life, look at the life of their family members. They can learn many things that are accurate knowledge. For example, everybody is afraid of punishment, being hurt. Sabbe tasanti dandasa. Sabbe bhayanti machuna. Everybody is afraid of death. So therefore, person like me should not create punishment, should not hurt other beings, because it is so painful to those people. I should not hurt other beings. This is the Dhamma message. But this Dhamma message was discovered by himself or herself. How? By looking at the real situation that this person is seeing around oneself. So therefore, Dhamma is something that you understand by wisely looking at different situations. But life is very, very complicated. Life is controlled by the mind. And mind is extremely complex. So this detailed information that one should know is so difficult for a common person without the guidance or the assistance of a teacher like the Buddha. So Buddha has completely explained from beginning to the end all the secrets about life and how to get the best out of one's own life by knowing these very subtle causes and conditions. Therefore, people like us should learn and study and listen to Dhamma. That way we can get good knowledge for us to what to look for, where to look at, what to see when you look at things. All these different detail that normal person would not be able to see. slowly begin to see because of the guidance of the Dhamma, especially the Dhamma that is taught by the Buddha. Because Buddha's teaching is dedicated only to explain life. When you say life, universe is part of our lives. And Buddha explained life, Buddha explained universe, Buddha explained other beings besides us who live in this universe, and even myself after death. What are the places that is possible for me to reborn? And he has explained all that. And when you are reborn in such and such a place, what you should expect from your life. These I explained. And if you want to avoid being born in certain places, what are the techniques to avoid being born in unpleasant, unhappy places? And what are the techniques of being born in pleasant places, wonderful places? And what are the places where you can gain the maximum amount of knowledge that you need to avoid frustration, fear, and suffering? And what happens when you don't have that type of knowledge? And what are the difficulties that you could face without knowing those intricate, subtle nature of this life? And finally, Buddha had explained very clearly, no matter where you are living or where you are going to be in, there's no escape, because all these places, there's no way that you can avoid pain and frustration 100%. And therefore, it is so important for all of us to overcome the re-existence or continuation of our lives. And all these things are very clearly explained in 4 ways. What are the 4 ways? What is the life is all about? What are the problems? Basically, he paid attention to what are the difficulties and problems we experience in life. And then he also taught about what are the causes and conditions that create this pain and suffering, frustration and fear for us. What causes the pain? What causes the suffering? And then Buddha explained that there is a possibility that you can avoid these sufferings and frustrations and fear. Not only you can avoid, you can completely overcome all this pain and suffering and bring your mind to perfectly peaceful state of existence, which is called Nibbana, you know. And even how to attain Nibbana, even about Nibbana, Buddha had taught. And the 4th part, first is the problem, second is the cause of the problem, Third is the possibility of solving all these problems. And fourth is how to overcome. What is the method? Step-by-step method, technique of overcoming these sufferings and frustrations and fears, and how to become victorious over this unpleasant existence that we call life. So the listeners or people or students of life have the complete picture, map, even before you start. And with the guidance of the Dhamma, you know where to look at in your life that we don't normally look at. We only know the pain and frustration, but we don't know what causes the pain and fear and the frustration. But when you hear the Dhamma, we know where to look at to find the causes and conditions of these difficulties that we face in our lives. And therefore, learning the Dhamma is extremely important. It is exactly the same as learning different sciences, chemistry and physics and all the other subjects that we learn help us to see the conditions of the external world around us. By developing science, we have created marvels. The people has created marvels. We learn a lot of causes and conditions, how the external world operates. But most important to any human being or any being is to learn about oneself. Maybe it is important to learn about the world outside of oneself that you can learn through sciences. But learning about how life works is much more important than learning about how the world works, how the universe works, how the world of physics works, world of chemistry works. That is a helpful knowledge. But that knowledge is helpful, but the most helpful knowledge is the knowledge about oneself. And that is what the Buddha taught for 45 years. That is because he has spent so much time from the traditional understanding to learn about life. He has gone through life and observed the life, trained the life to the fullest over millions of lifetimes. Sara asanka kalpa laksha perumpurukla. For uncountable eons, he had gone through life to study life, to understand life, to understand the secrets of life, understand how life works. It's not something that you can do overnight, because the most complicated knowledge is knowledge of life in the world. Therefore, wise people should pay attention to the Dhamma and learn Dhamma and use that knowledge to enhance your own life, one's own life. But unfortunately, Dhamma is not easily available in this world. Even in the time like this, social media that share information is so powerful. People have very limited access to the knowledge of how life works. So in the Buddha's teaching itself, the emphasis is given so highly to learn about life means learn the Dhamma. That is not easily available anywhere in the world. Now, if you look at today's world, there are so many millions of people. Out of all these so many millions of people, how small number of people are able to access the knowledge of Dhamma. Even the Dhamma has been around in this world for over 2,500 years. Still, a lot of people have no direct access to Dharma. Only few people have the fortune to access or hear or learn the Dharma directly, as clearly as possible, and get the best out of learning the Dhamma out of your life. So this is the sad situation. And the most wonderful thing that has happened to us as human beings, out of all the billions of species or types of beings in this universe, only human beings are capable of using their brain and knowledge and sensory organs to see and learn what life is all about. Only human beings. You can see dogs are very nice. We have very nice, kind and gentle dogs, very beautiful animals out in the forest, but they have no way of hearing the Dhamma, learning the Dhamma, putting it into practice, and getting good at living according to Dhamma, which is very important. Living according to the Dhamma is very difficult. But human beings have the full capacity to learn it and see the validity of what you hear. Truthfulness and factuality is also a very important part. You can learn anything, But how can you test it for yourself and determine what you learn is correct? It is factual. It is actually affecting your life positively or negatively. So this is another part, that as human beings, we are so lucky. And if the world is smart, all these governments should try their best to make this knowledge available to all human beings who are capable of learning. And by educating them, you can create a wonderful world, wonderful city, wonderful country, wonderful planet, by helping them to learn the Dhamma. But unfortunately, the value of Dhamma, value of knowledge of life, is not seriously taken by too many people. Even the Buddhist who has the access to Dhamma has the limited interest in Dhamma, mainly because our vision is so cluttered, contaminated. Our eyes and wisdom and knowledge is all contaminated too much with so many other unnecessary information. Unnecessary means not directly beneficial to oneself. If anything that is not directly beneficial or make you richer, that type of interest for such a knowledge is not developed by human beings. One of the main reasons for that is knowledge of life is so complex, and everybody wants to learn easier things that are lightly benefiting us, helpful to us very little. So we go for that, and we ignore the things that ignore the knowledge that directly benefit us the most. That is Dhamma. And today I want to discuss one small segment of the Buddha, because today's world, we are all pursuing wealth. In the materialistic world like us that we are living in, we all seek wealth because we think that wealth is the one that brings us comfort and safety and security. The richness, that is basically all type of material wealth. Real estate, nice homes, we are trying to achieve, we are trying to gain. A lot of money through different businesses, spending on stocks and selling many different things, even they are harmful to a lot of people, like weapons. We sell them and we make money, thinking that this wealth is going to bring us peace and security and comfort and happiness. But actually, Buddha would see that this is only one part of what happiness is all about. If you really closely look at this wealth itself can bring you so much pain and suffering and frustration and fears, including death. You are wealthy, that wealth itself could bring you death. It is something that we see in the news all the time. In this world, we see it all the time. No matter how wealthy you are, you could completely get destroyed by wealth itself. And this is happening. But Buddha has taught us, if you are looking for comfort and happiness, there are few other type of wealth that we don't pay attention to in the world. So Buddha called this 7 spiritual wealth. Sapta Arya Dana. Arya means noble. Noble means the noble wealth is the wealth that actually bring you safety, security, and happiness and peace. All the other type of wealth, material wealth that we all tried our best in our whole life, we try to accumulate and collect all types of wealth, but compared to noble wealth, this material wealth bring us only a limited comfort and limited safety and limited happiness. So Buddha gave us, we don't have too much time to explain in detail, but I would like to explain a little bit. First one type of wealth that we should have is saddha. Saddha is translated as faith by some people. Not knowing what saddha is, faith is fine. Belief, faith that is not established, not grounded, is not saddha. Faith that is well established, well expounded, well studied, and now that faith, because of the faith of your confidence, we call it confidence, saddha, you can only develop confidence by observing various conditions carefully. Confidence in the Dhamma can be faith in Dhamma, but that is not what Buddha would say that we should have as well. Deep-rooted Mula Jata, patitita, well-established confidence is the one that Buddha is talking about. So we have to have confidence in the Dhamma, confidence in the teacher, the Buddha. But how do we generate this confidence? Just because everybody is respecting the Buddha, everybody is thinking that Buddha is great and all that? No. Because you pay attention to what the Buddha teach, what the Buddha had taught, and you see for yourself the validity or the factuality of this knowledge that is established by the Buddha. And now it is your knowledge. If you do this, this will happen. If you do that, this will happen. So you can develop a confidence in that particular one statement, for example, that confidence in the Buddha, confidence in the Dhamma, make you do the research for yourself. If you didn't have that confidence, you would not even start doing any research for yourself. So hypothetically, you look at the Buddha's statements. If you take hundreds of Buddha's statements or 1,000 statements of the Buddha and see that out of 1,000, maybe at least 500 is correct for sure. I don't know about other 500 until I examine them. So the saddha is something that grows gradually. Your confidence that, for example, sila means being harmless to others, being helpful to others, but not harmful to others. That's called sila. You can see for yourself, if I am harmless to others, there is a high possibility that I might be harmed by others. But the person who practices harmlessness and helpfulness would gradually see, I am in less and less danger as a human being from the time I started being kind and gentle to all others. Now, as a wise person, you look at this situation. Was I in danger when I was harming others? I have guns, I have swords, and have all the weapons. And does that protect me? No. I use this to harm others. But the possibility that I be harmed myself is much higher when you carry so many weapons and other things to hurt others. So then you know, practice of caring for other beings make your life much safer than harming other beings and making profit for yourself. But you can be more profitable by being kind and nice and gentle to others. Therefore, I must practice sila. I must practice caring and kindness. So this is a simple example. The confidence in the Dhamma, because of the confidence you see if the practice of sila is actually beneficial or harmful to me, and then you figured out, actually, I am much safer when I am not harming others, and that is your knowledge. But you started with faith, saddha, confidence in the Dharma. Because of the confidence, you started looking and examining the situation of carrying weapon and harming others is safer, or helping others and supporting other people's lives is more beneficial and more safe. So the sila, meaning being a virtuous person, being a good person, is a great wealth. Just like saddha is a great wealth, sila is a great wealth that you can accumulate. Very difficult to be nice because we are selfish people. We want to protect ourselves first than anyone else. Therefore, even somebody get hurt, I want to protect myself. That is our normal thinking. Self-defense, we call it. I try to defend myself in the cost of killing 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 people. But in the end, you find out that you gain nothing. Your self defense, defending oneself, can be gained by being kind and nice and gentle to all others. It's a knowledge that you gain. That's the sila. So when you know that, you continue to improve your ability to be kind and gentle to other beings. And that is called sila. That's a wealth. That's a spiritual wealth. A lot of people don't think that it is a wealth. But ultimately, you find out that that's a true wealth compared to most of the other wealth that you think is wealth. Since we are having a little less time, Hiriyottapyang dhanam. Dhana means wealth. Hiri means shame. Can shame be a wealth? Yes, but not the regular shame. Shame of doing the harmful thing, hurtful things to others. You have to be shameful for killing others. You have to be shameful for stealing from others. You have to be shameful about abusing other opposite sex or other children or something like that. I'm a respectable person. Respectable people don't do these type of shameless things. That's why when we do something wrong, our parents would say, "Son, shame on you." That is a very important statement for us to see that we should have the shame of doing the harmful and hurtful things. conscience, sometimes we call. If I have the conscience, I am a person who is a respectable person, I would not do these type of things. That's the conscience. Hearing. Fear. Fear is the one that we try to overcome in our lives. That is fear of loss, fear of losing our health, fear of losing our lives, fear of losing our property. So the Buddha does not highly encourage for us to have fear. But the whole purpose of Buddha's teaching is to overcome fear. But how can fear be a wealth? Fear of doing the wrongful things, harmful things, you have to be afraid of. Because you yourself put in danger by harming others. So I should be afraid not to hurt others. When I started thinking, oh, no, I should not do this because it might bring me a lot of problems. Stealing from the government, stealing from taxes, and all kinds of type of things that you should be afraid of. Why? Because it keeps our peace of mind. It brings us a feeling of security. So that type of fear, Buddha suggests that we should have. We are trying to overcome fear. To overcome fear, we have to have this type of fear. You know, when the fire is coming in the wild forest, what the fire brigade is doing is that we create a controlled fire. To stop the fire, we create a fire. That is the type of fear Buddha speaks in here. By creating that fire to stop fire, actually works. So it doesn't keep going. So intentionally create the fire to stop huge fire burning and coming close to you. So that is the type of fear that is taught here. Sutta means education, learning. It's a very well accepted things that learning is always a great wealth. You can accumulate knowledge. But out there are so much knowledge. But what is the most important knowledge out of all these things? Remember the story of the Sinsapavana? Sinsapa tree has thousands and thousands of small leaves. And if this is a whole forest of Sinsapa trees, that means billions of little leaves. Buddha take one handful of leaves out of a tree and ask the monks, what do you think the number of leaves in my hand compared to number of leaves in the forest? Buddha said, the monk said, Venerable Sir, the number of leaves in your hand is so small, limited compared to the number of leaves in the forest. So the Buddha says, Venerable monks, the knowledge that I give you as Dhamma is this much compared to the knowledge that is available in the world. The knowledge that is available in the knowledge in terms of physics and chemistry and history and geography and mathematics and all that knowledge. But that's a vast knowledge. But the knowledge of Dhamma is the most essential knowledge that help you to create the most important thing that you have been trying to create for yourself. By accumulating all kinds of knowledge, you try to create something, happiness and peace, but this little knowledge, which is called Dhamma, is the one that brings you actual health, actual security. So therefore, when you hear the Sutta Dana, knowledge of Dana, in here what we call is knowledge of self, knowledge of life, that is Dhamma. You can learn about the world so much, but that's fine. But before that, most important part is learning about yourself. Actually, once you learn about yourself, all the other knowledge become so less important for anyone who had the knowledge of Dhamma. So therefore, when the Buddha says, accumulate the knowledge, wealth of knowledge, accumulate the wealth of knowledge, what he meant was accumulate the knowledge of Dhamma. Sutta Dhanancha. Chaga means letting go. Generosity. If you are able to give and give up, that's a great strength you have. That strength is a wealth. If you are trying to hold on to everything that you think is yours, life is going to be so miserable, so frustrating, because you cannot protect all these things that you think is yours. So, Buddha says, practice generosity. That is a great wealth. Chaga means letting go. Learn to let go of what you think is yours. But most of us are extremely reluctant to give away even $1 or $2 without gaining anything in return. Therefore, we are holding on to that $2, $5, $1. But few days ago, few weeks ago, I think few months ago, in Berkeley, this homeless person came with a knife and asked the money from 2 students, and they didn't want to give the money, $5 or wallet or anything. They didn't want to give. And this crazy man took the knife and stabbed the students, 2 students, walking late at night from library to the home. And they didn't want to let go of what they think is their $10, their $50 they have in the wallet. And what did they lose? The whole life, millions and dollars of worth of life they lost by holding on to $10, $15. Learn to practice, learn to let go. That's a great wealth. Wealth is to protect your most important things. So you let go of less important things and protect the most important things, which is yourself, your knowledge, your wisdom, your other things are very important. So let go of all the other things. And the most important wealth that you constantly accumulate is your ability to see the cause and effect relationship of this and that, which is called wisdom. It's not intelligence. Intelligence is different. That's buddhi. Panya is something else. Your ability to see the cause and effect relationship related to your life, your activities, your thinking, how you think, how you do things, how you speak things. And why did I say this? What if I say this instead of that? So this is the wisdom, knowledge of cause and effect of life. That you have to accumulate as a wealth, great wealth. So this is something you can constantly increase. Wisdom is something that you can increase by practicing. By learning Dhamma, you learn a lot of, generate a lot of wisdom. But by seeing the Dhamma, not by learning. After learning, if you start seeing that things for yourself, that's the actual wealth. That's actual wisdom. Not knowing, but seeing it for yourself. So the Buddha only show you. But who has to see for yourself? That's you and me. So that is the cultivation of accumulation of wisdom as a wealth. So we spend so much time and energy to accumulate material wealth, but we don't pay attention to accumulate this spiritual wealth, which is actual wealth that make you really rich, as opposed to you look like you are rich. You feel like you are rich. Others would see you as rich when you have a lot of property, when you have a lot of vehicles, when you have a lot of money in the bank. Others may think that you are rich, but actually you are very poor if you are not rich in these seven spiritual wealth. So pay attention to this teaching of the Buddha. The true wealth is the spiritual wealth. That does not mean that other wealth is not true wealth. If you're rich with so much money in the bank, that is fine. But that does not bring you actual safety and security and peace of mind and happiness, although you think that it gives you. So you use your wisdom and look at life carefully and see what is the actual wealth that really benefiting me and my family and my children. So this is the message for Medin full moon day today about wealth, because we are so much into accumulation of wealth in this world, in this material world. This might be a timely Dhamma talk, timely Dhamma given by the Buddha for all of us, and take it seriously and look at it and make it your knowledge, not making it the Buddha's knowledge, not having faith, this is the Buddha's teaching and I believe in it. No, that is not what you need. What you need is to see for yourself by considering this Dhamma, contemplating on this Dhamma, and really examining the life through the light of this particular Dhamma. Every point of Dhamma is a very important point of life, about life. So take it seriously. That is called Saddha. Take the Dhamma seriously with great respect and appreciation, and slowly make it your own direct knowledge. That's what the Buddha was for. Buddha akka taro tathagata. Tummehi kichang atapang akka taro tathagata. Tummehi kichang atabang. All the activities, all the work should be done by oneself, understanding the Dhamma. Akka taro tathagata. All great enlightened ones are here for you to guide you and direct you and point the Dhamma to you. And you look at and you make it your own knowledge. That is the message of the Buddha. Okay? Today, the Medin full moon day, all of you are very lucky to hear some Dhamma that we don't normally pay attention to. And so take this seriously and think about it and remember it. Dhamma is for not listening only. Listening is very important. Sunata. Dhareta means remember, and charata means live according to what you learn, and then see for yourself the factuality or the actual correctness of the Dhamma. And now we have few more minutes for a short break, and then we come back and sit 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes for a meditation. And now everyone should be very happy for being able to hear the teachings of the Buddha. That is very rare in this world, and only few of you have the ability to hear and find out about these things out of billions of people in the world. And you had that opportunity, and you should be so grateful. And not only grateful, you should be able to strive to see the Dhamma for yourself. And so doing, listening to the meditation, this Dhamma talk, all of you generated so much positive energy, and let us share that positive energy with all our deceased family members and all the other celestial beings. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñāteyo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñāteyo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñāteyo. Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditta chirang rakkhantu loka sasanang. Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditta chirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditta chirang rakkhantu no sada. May you all be happy and well. I wish you perfect health and a lot of good luck. And this is the end of the Dhamma talk. And we will come back in 2 minutes or so, 2-3 minutes, and then we join the meditation session. No? And now I disconnect the streaming, and when you come back, you can start from the beginning again. No? Thank you very much.